attendance. Inspector Few, excuse me, I want to remind everyone that the application of the Sunshine Law does apply. Before we get started, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Inspector Few.
Yes, we had 4 parties come in and renew their permits. Nathaniel Rochelle with Mercury Taxi, Maria Cox with Chattanooga Horse Trams, Jake Say with Chattanooga Horse Trams, and we call her Susie with Nuga Taxi. The recommendations for approval, their fees and paperwork were turned in.
We have a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Focused. You already done all that?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Under C on the agenda, we have a new applicant starting a secondary location, 2800 Russell Boulevard. He has met all requirements for the record aspect and building and zoning. He does have one previous citation back in, I think it was May of '23, for American Towing and Recovery. Mr. Aaron Black is the owner, if you want to ask him questions or anything.
Mr. Black, this 2800 block of Rossville Boulevard, you're gonna have some,
Yes, yeah, anyone who's gonna, I guess, testify, for lack of a better word.
Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to be giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, now, apologize.
I was gonna ask you, Mr. Black, this 2800 block of Rossville Boulevard, are you gonna have someone there during the business hours to answer
Yes,
phone
sir.
and release cars and
Yes, sir.
people get what they wanted out?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. Is this, Inspector Moses, is these permits that he got, is that just a class or a B class, or are these C classes that he's been
For A
approved?
class.
A class?
A class.
Okay, so he's not been approved for, C class?
Do it?
Has he been approved for C class?
No.
Okay. Have you applied for C class
Yes, sir.
through the city?
Yes, sir. Didn't I? And that's what we talked about. You said.
No, we've only done A class.
Okay.
C class in recovery to the heavy trucks. Nobody can get on right now till at least January. They're talking about combining them. They still haven't done that. So we decided until they do that, schedule's out till January. Nobody can get on till January for C in recovery.
Can we say, I think you accidentally sent me those for my heavies. Can we save them till January, or will they have to go through another inspection?
They'd have to be inspected.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody has to be inspected again.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have. That's all I just want to know, have you been approved by, have you got C classes? Have you got permits for C classes?
They're on the list, but I don't know, they don't say if they're A class or C class or what they are, but they're on this list that was approved for the record permits.
Okay.
Only A class was inspected.
Okay.
We have a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve. Okay.
Excuse me, is it possible to be heard on this application? I don't know your order, I just.
You have to come forward and get sworn in.
Well, I'm an attorney, I'm not getting sworn, we got a point of of information we need to go to the board as well.
Can you state your name?
James McCown.
Thank you, Mr. McCain.
Yeah, if you'll come up to the microphone.
Thank you. I've never been before your board, and I appreciate being recognized. And if I was out of order, I apologize, just know how else to do it. We represent Cody Anderson and his companies. On June 13, there was a tow by American from the Dalton area up to their yard. On the 16th of June, our client went to pick up their truck. It was an F-450. At that point in time, Mr. Black advised that another fellow who's a disgruntled employee had offered to pay him $20,000 for the truck, and he wasn't going to release it to us unless we paid $20,000. At that point in time, we were not able to get the truck back. We've sent a demand letter on the 23rd of June. On the 25th, we spoke with his office lady who was discussing the matter with us. We were assured that they weren't going to do anything with the truck to either the disgruntled employee who's trying to take it or our firm, and would only release it to Ford Motor Credit. The truck only had 6,000 miles on it. And at that point in time, we confirmed that in writing by email. We have now been informed that on the day that they assured us they weren't releasing it, they released it to the disgruntled employee for $5,000. And so I don't know where this board is on business ethics. We're going to litigation, and I know that's beyond y'all. But I felt like the city of Chattanooga deserves better than this. And we've already had an article concerning the blacks back in the spring with the news anchor or news reporter from Nashville having issues getting their vehicle. And it just seems to me that this ought to be something considered if you're doing what's right for this town, because wreckers and tow companies deal with people when they're the most vulnerable. And if you don't have people out there that can take care of them and act with some business ethics, then this town's not doing anything for its population. And, you know, this was a voluntary tow. This isn't something where the truck had broke down. And so this isn't a situation otherwise. And that's the only point I want to make, is this ought to be considered. And you can defer it till the litigation gets filed next week if you want. But it seems to me that this ought to be considered by our boards in doing what's right for Chattanooga. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Coon.
So the $20,000 thing, that was false. We didn't release the truck for $5,000. We ended up releasing the truck to the owner. This guy is not the owner. He couldn't provide paperwork. Ford Motor Credit, who the truck was financed through, called us and, stated, do not release the truck back to anybody other than the Matthew Davis, which was his partner. And we went by what the lien holder told us to do. And we released the truck back to him for $2,000. And Mr. Davis got in his truck and he drove it off of our lot after showing us documentation that he was the owner. He could never provide ownership, or, guys, we would have loved to release his truck back to him. I'm in the wrecker business. I get that if something happens, your truck gets towed in, hey, it's stopping your business. But at the same time, we have to follow all necessary, and we even called the Chattanooga Police Department out there, and they come out and made him leave because he could not provide proof of ownership. So, we released it back to the rightful owner for $2,000, and he was happy. He got in his truck and he left.
Do you have an incident report of this, Mr. Black?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We were the one that called the police. I want him to keep talking on the record, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No matter if he called the police, I called the police, whoever, they made this guy leave. So, because he couldn't provide proof of ownership. And we would release the truck back to him, but I have to have all the documentation to release the cars. It's no different. It wasn't even a Chattanooga police call. It wasn't a private property. It wasn't anything remotely related to any of this. But it had nothing, it was not his truck. He couldn't provide his proof of ownership, or we would have released the truck back to him.
Mr. Black, do you have correspondence between you and the Ford Motor Company involving this and where you are able to release?
Yes, yeah, they sent us all the ownership, and my phone calls record too, so, and even whenever the Mr. Matthew Davis, he come to my place, you know, he got them on the phone, then after they'd done called us, then they called us back and they stated, you know, Matthew Davis he is the owner of the truck, and the truck needs to be released back to him.
Can I ask Inspector Mosier a question, please? Yes. So as part of the application process, is there any provision that asks for threatened or pending litigation? Nothing like that?
No.
So would this situation, not disclosing it, be any kind of material misrepresentation to your permitting process?
This is the first I've heard about this incident.
Sure. Well, I guess what I'm asking is, would it matter for the application process that this was not disclosed until this meeting?
Not the current application process, no.
Okay. And otherwise, you know, the application has been completed?
Yes.
Okay. Satisfactorily?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like to me, excuse me, sounds like to me it's a civil matter. I understand what he's trying to say, but it's a civil matter, and I'm sure there's gonna be litigation, like the attorney said, but I don't think it has anything to do with us approving him for his location on 28th Street or on Russell Boulevard.
And certainly, you know, if the litigation turns into a judgment or something like that, and that would be, you know, something that would be worthy of calling the license into question, then that's certainly we could revisit at a later date, but I agree. So I'll second the motion to approve.
All in favor to approve Mr. Black's American Towing Recovery, second location at 2800 Rossville Boulevard, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Was there a nay?
No, it was in the audience.
From the audience.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with the Mercury Taxi and Mercury Transportation, for old business, being as I just remembered that it was tabled last month, that it can need to be continued tabled due to the fact of litigations and countersuing and all kind of stuff in the courts, that I think it'd be premature for us to do anything with it or hear anything on it until they're done in the court system with that.
I think, Inspector, the reason why we added it back to the agenda was for the violations with the colors and the city code as far as color schemes, and also the email that we received, which was different from, I think that is why it was actually put on this agenda, if I remember correctly.
Correct, I believe so, but I don't think we should, I'm not a lawyer, but if for us to do anything about it or say anything about it until the courts decide on who actually owns the name, who actually owns transportation, who actually owns, because they may come back and say that this should be changed to this. And if we've told them one thing, then they have to go back and do it all. So I think we should just table everything between these two companies until they come up with that. Now, I will say that I had our intelligence to investigate the email, the posting that he had, and it is all legit. But I still don't think we should do anything about anything as far as any of them until they're done in courts. Because from my understanding now, they're suing them, Mercury Taxi, it has a lawsuit against Mercury Transportation. So they're going back and forth, and that's above my pay grade, but I don't think we need to do anything. We still haven't received any paperwork from Mr. Wilson that they supposed to been bringing us 2-3 months ago to let us know what they were trying to do. So I figured it was just, if he gave it to the court system, let them deal with all that before we do anything. Hopefully we'll eventually get it. We've been told by Mr. Boston and by his secretary, or by him, that they were going to bring it, and I still haven't received anything. I don't know if Mr. what's the name, haven't received anything, Mr. Andrews, but, you know, I don't think we need to do anything until this is all taken care of in the courts. That's my opinion. Yeah, you know, it's up to y'all if y'all want to, but my opinion is we need to wait until all that is taken care of.
All right, the board recognizes the audience member. If you'll come forward, please.
Raise your right hand, please, down. And if you're gonna be testifying to the inspector, I need to swear you in too. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your name.
My name is Melody Shikari, and I will keep this short. I'm an attorney representing Mercury Transportation. I just wanted to thank the board. I did send a letter asking for this to be put on the agenda because we've had some illnesses in the office, and it's been a little back and forth. I do believe we still owe paperwork, and I agree with the investigators' recommendation that this is pending litigation. There is a case number, there's counterclaims, and so I would ask that the board withhold any judgments on this matter until we've kind of moved the case forward and maybe had a court decide a temporary injunction and a number of other matters. But I did want to make sure that you knew that we are going to make sure to be at future meetings and to be able to address all of the concerns that the board has. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take
How do you
them.
spell your last name?
I'm sorry, Shekari. Thank you.
There is a motion for, there's a motion that passed last meeting to withhold until litigation was completed. If I was going through the notes, there was another reason why this was added.
I think I asked for it.
And it was in regards to the email, correct?
Yeah, I think the question last time was what information could be brought to the board for our review for, I guess, any pending request that was being made against this company's license, but it doesn't sound like there is a request being made against this company's license.
So, with the motion passing last month, we'll continue with that until litigation is finalized. Ms.
Thank you.
Shikari?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think what we were discussing last month was as far as the thing that the city attorney, what is it, for the public notice or whatever for the new company to start, then it was the due investigation as far as his post on Facebook, if it was legit.
Right.
All that's been legitified or whatever, but I don't think as far as, like I said, anything to do with any of it. I could just say that I did talk to our intelligence and they looked into it and everything was, all the emails that y'all received and all that stuff, because I think Miss Cynthia Coleman said anybody can just get up there and do stuff
Right.
on everybody's page or whatever, but it was legit. But it still all goes back to, if the courts do one thing and we say something or do something here, then it'll be just, you know, I think it'd be just still premature until we get all that in court taken care of. Then we can come in here and bring all the violations or the emails that we've sent y'all to look at and to listen to, all the pictures we've sent y'all to listen to and look at. Then we can go over all that then. I just think it's premature to do it now.
I agree. Just looking at the minutes as well, city attorney, as well as two other board members did make the, motions to hear the case after litigation is completed. So I think that would be best for the board.
Cool.
I think one thing that did concern the board was the violation, though, of fixed rates. That was something that we discussed as well.
That was the email, the picture that we sent you
Correct.
stating about fixed rates, and Mrs. Coleman wanted to know if that was legit or did
Right, you
somebody
said
go
it
on
was
this page?
legitimized through
This
your
was legitimized
investigation.
through our intelligence.
Right.
I'll follow up after, but I haven't seen that email or those pictures, so it'd be great to, I don't have a response because we haven't been able to look at it, but we will, and we'll make sure to have a response at future meetings.
All right, well, I'm sure you'll be in contact with Inspector Few as far as, and then we'll add you to the agenda when it's completed.
Great. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
service and before a holiday weekend. Hope you have a good weekend.
Oh, you got it.
There is no new business, Inspector?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have for taxi.
Is there anyone in the audience that has any comments for the board? Just want to remind you, how you doing, sir? There is a 3-minute.
Absolutely, I'll be quick.
got you.
Mark Shackelford Towing here in Chattanooga. Prior to this board organizing, I worked for the industry with the Beer and Record Board to work to get the rate increase approved with the city. And in that rate increase, we basically went ahead and agreed that January 1, every fiscal year, that we would have a 3% cost of living increase. And that happened the first year that we, after the 12 months was up and when January 1 hit, we did get that approved sometime after. And we've asked for it again, probably 5-6 months ago, may have even been before you guys were here in quorum. But I'd like to bring that back up and see what we have to do as an industry to get that either A, approved by the Transportation Board, or if that's something that's got to go before council. And if we could, talk about it at this point and see what has to be done and then table for a response at another meeting, that'd be great. Is that feasible?
The previous increase was granted by the.
City Council and Chris Anderson, when we worked with the mayor's office.
Can't trust that guy.
There he is. He's just out of nowhere. I was going to talk bad about him, but I guess since he's standing there, I'll go ahead and refrain.
I have an answer for you.
You do have an answer?
I do.
Well, then I will talk with him and get an answer. Thank you. Have a great day.
Chairman, may I just briefly address that?
Please, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Chairman. We do have a piece of legislation that does this. Council has not taken it up yet. With a new council, with about half of them new, they have been hesitant to take up new pieces of legislation. I think this week was the first time that happened with the council, with Councilman Henderson's urban chicken legislation. So that will be ready to go. However, I do believe, my opinion, and Mr. City Attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it does need to go to this board first. So my intention is to have it in front of you next month.
Yes, I believe it, this board would recommend it to the city council.
Right. I agree with that. So I'll try to have it to you by next month. It's 95% done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask what the current rate is? May I get what the current rate is that you're looking for the increase on, sir?
I'm still charging the 225 and 250, which was the beginning rate that we agreed to with the rate increase after 18 years of being at the same rate. So once the city and I agreed to a specific rate for the industry, it was 225 and 250, $35 a day, and then we had some winching skates, dollies, all the rest of it fell into a classification for a rate. So all of the things that would move up should move up by 3% or whatever was agreed upon at the time. And I haven't moved the needle from my business because it wasn't technically approved each time we've asked. So that's a great question. I guess we could probably go back and figure out what it was from the beginning and recreate what those numbers should be.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, I believe the new numbers should be 232 and 258 respectively. That's in my draft.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily 3%. It's based on the annual inflation rate as calculated by the federal government, Department of Labor, not labor, it's federal government, which was 3%. It happened to be 3% in this case, but I believe that it's going to be 232 and 258 for those two numbers. And only those two numbers increase. It's not every towing charge.
Okay, thank
This
you.
would be the third year, wouldn't it, Chris? Year one was the original 225, 250. We got the
It might
we
be.
got the second one approved, and this January 1 would be the third year that we were on the new rates.
I will double check that before I send you a document.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you.
I need to be sworn in.
Just want Jonathan Easter, Chattanooga Taxi. Just wanted to touch base on some things, not one specific thing that had been talked about over the course of the last year. And I hadn't really read the definition because I thought at some point it would probably expose itself and somebody would read it. But I wanted to go ahead and read it out loud for everybody to understand. And I've said it numerous times about what the distinction and the uniqueness of a taxi is versus a limo, versus a shuttle, versus transportation blanket. And right here in our definitions, it says taxi cab or taxi, any motor vehicle except a limousine, transportation, network company vehicle, or motor carrier of passengers regularly engaged in the business of carrying passengers for hire, having a seating capacity of 7 or fewer persons, including the driver, and not operated on a fixed route or schedule, which is the way I was trying to explain it before is a taxi cab in its uniqueness has that authority to solicit or people to be able to solicit transportation curbside without having to call a company, and usually the companies like a limo or shuttle or transportation service you would call, and you're calling for a fixed route or a scheduled pickup, it's specific. Taxi is the only one that a random person can walk out of a hotel, walk out of a bar, walk out of a restaurant, walk out from anywhere, and there's a taxi on the curb in the city or any city. You kind of automatically assume that the city's regulating them with the taxi meter. They have some things so people feel that safety into getting in. Not only that, but the price is protected. That's why the meter's there. So just wanted to make sure that to solidify what I've been saying as far as what a taxi cab is, it is everything except for the ones that are listed here in this definition. And of course, I don't have enough time, but every word in here, like limousine, transportation network company, motor carriers, all those are also defined above here in the definitions as well, giving them their specific definition of purpose or duty or what they're allowed to do or vehicle to use. That's it. Oh, by the way, and while I got Chris Anderson in here, is there any way we can get a meeting with you to discuss maybe some taxi rate increases, as we haven't had any rate increases in about 15 years?
See me after the meeting, we'll schedule something.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm sorry, Inspector, did you have something else to add? No? Okay.
Well, as far as the increase, we did do an emergency, well, we still, I don't know if he said it because I was out there. We did do an emergency increase, and we've continued to let them keep it up where it was at because we didn't have a board for 8, 9, 6 months or whatever. So we just let it stay up. I don't know if they're still doing it at that increase rate.
Well, I didn't bring any of that up. I was just talking, since Chris Anderson was sitting, to see if we could get an appointment to discuss permanent rate increases.
I'm cool with that.
And that would be the same process of this board would make the recommendation to city council.
Which I believe had been done in the course over the last year, I believe. The former chairman, I think, reached out to the mayor's office, I believe.
Well, I know that she had tried to. We had Leonard Thomas. He kept saying he had somebody he was talking to, but he never would tell us who it was. So I don't know exactly who they talked to, or because I don't think anything ever came up in city council about a rate increase.
Thank you. there isn't any more discussion, then we'll wait on Mr. Anderson to get that to us at a later date for the record increase and the taxi cab increase. And then we have continued the table of Mercury Taxi versus Mercury Transportation until the end of litigation. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Meeting adjourned.